Moved by Terry Miller, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region convene into a public meeting to review zoning bylaw amendment for 49 Pembroke Street, Cobden. You're talking to that, Hope?
So the zoning amendment bylaw here for 49 Pembroke Street, Plan 65, lots 193, 195, 210, 211, 212, and 216 in the village of Cobden. The purpose of this amendment is to amend the provisions of the Highway Tourist Commercial Exception 1 zone on the subject lands to permit an additional apartment dwelling unit to the existing building. So currently this zone permits one apartment dwelling in the existing building. However, this amendment would allow a total of 2 apartment dwelling units in the existing building. Currently there are no additions or exterior renovations proposed. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at this public meeting or make a written submission before the bylaw is passed, they are not entitled to appeal the township's decision to the Ontario Municipal Board, nor may they be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the OMB, unless the board agrees that there are reasonable grounds to do so. If Gay Thompson...
Sorry. I have to fight her. Gay, could you come up just to the microphone to answer any questions before we get started? Okay. My understanding from reading this is more of a housekeeping issue than anything. And so if there are any questions from the public would like to come forward, come ahead forward. At this point, seeing none, any questions from council? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go back to my 95-year-old mom. Thank you very much.
I will. Moved by Kathy Rager, seconded by Terry Miller, be it resolved that the public meeting of the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region held on July 22nd, 2015 be adjourned at 6:05 p.m. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. We going into Charlene. You know. From here. Okay, because this one I already did. I don't know why we would do it again. We'll do this one. Moved by Kathy Rager, seconded by Terry Miller, be it resolved that the council in committee of the Township of Whitewater Region adopt the agenda for the July 22nd, 2015 meeting. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried.
I just noticed that Ms. Thompson is still here. The bylaw won't be passed until approximately 8:30 because now we're into committee meetings. Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know. You're welcome. Okay, so the first item on our agenda for our Corporate Services Committee is the Cobden Sewer Plant debenture. Do you have my information, Mayor Johnson, that was on my desk?
I believe, I took mine over there,
Okay,
and I brought it back.
okay.
Councillor Jackson, I believe I have mine there, and yours is here.
No, I don't have any of
Oh,
yours.
well. We're in against it now. May not give it up. Here.
You have two?
No. Excuse me.
Sherman, you need one?
You want this one?
Yes,
That's the
please.
one you prefer? And?
Do you have both too as well?
Oh,
Yes. We're good to go.
Okay.
We don't have a... We don't have a motion? Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none? Okay, number 1, Cobden Sewer Plant debenture.
Okay, I've provided council with a memo and put it on your desk. I'm just going to briefly give you a debenture forecast for the sewer plant upgrade. We were successful in receiving the Small Communities Fund, so our share of that is just a little over $3.1 million. So we had talked about during budget time that we couldn't budget for that item because at that point we did not know if we were successful in the grant. Now that we are, we looked at a start date of approximately 2017 with a completion date around 2019. Now, looking forward, just to give council an idea, I went ahead and I went on Infrastructure Ontario, and I've got a debenture rate of 3.26%, and that will be over 30 years. Now, there's you can pick a serial debenture or an amortization debenture, and the serial debenture over 30 years will save us approximately $300,000 in interest. So I kind of more focused on that one. Again, these are just projection. Right now it's at 3.26%. That's not what the rate will most likely be in a year from now. So in 2016, when we did the 2015 budget, we had a little over $70,000 that we put into reserves for this project, perhaps. So what we had suggested, Christine and I, and offered to council, in 2016, we'll be getting all the preliminary work done. So maybe we can pull that out of the funds, out of the reserve funds, and put it into paying some of the cost. And then start the debenture in 2017. So if we debentured the little over $3.1 million in 2017, we are looking at, and again, this is just a rough estimate, we are looking at about a 21% increase in sewer rates. Okay, and on the second sheet, you will look at, I gave you the projection for 2016, 17, 18, and 19. And I figured in 2016, if we use the full reserve, we have an $81,000 cast-in-place project that is unfinanced at this point. So we could pay that one in 2016, and with that would give us, even put back into reserves, $20,000. So 2016 projection rate increase would only be 1%. Okay. Your question?
Question with regards to the unfinanced portion.
Yeah.
Did we not finance
No.
that in the sewer?
No, we had $54,000 come out of the OSIF funding, and that project was left to be unfinanced.
It was never brought up in budget talk?
It was, and that's what we just left it to be unfinanced at this point. The difference, the $81,000.
Okay, I don't recall that, but
Okay.
that doesn't mean anything these days. Have you talked to the representative from Infrastructure Ontario with
Bob?
regards to a construction?
Yes. He did explain that's an option. He also explained debenturing $1 million a year. There's quite a bit of different ways that we can do this. Debenture $2 million for 1 year and then the other the following year. So we do have some options. Now I just kind of focus just on a broad range debenture at one time. When we get closer to the time, we'll certainly give council much more clear indication as to what's going to go on. But that is certainly an option.
I guess my concern is whether or not there's a bankroll to be able to fund the project as it goes without having a construction loan from Infrastructure Ontario. That would be my biggest concern. And you can as well, with regards to the construction loan, have approval to borrow so much money and then pull out as you need it.
That's right.
Because you're not going to get funding from the province until such time as each individual steps are completed, and then you submit payment, and then it takes a while to get payment back from them. So knowing that sort of process, it's going to be a lot of time where there's money not in the account and bills will have had to have been paid. So I see Christine.
Thank you. Yeah, when we had our conference call with Bob Keane from Infrastructure Ontario, he laid out several different scenarios, including the cash flow drawdown. And Bob is a very experienced ex-banker, and we know him well, and he's very willing to work with us closely to make sure that we get the tailor-made financing that we need.
Yeah, no, Bob is excellent. I've dealt with him many times. So I guess until we get the project ongoing and we know what kind of costs there are, it's just that there is a timeline to get that bylaw in place and the borrowing in place for the construction loan. And that's my only concern, is that we make sure that that's in place, whatever it is, for the borrowing before you do your final debenture.
That's right. Sorry, and if we do debenture over, the 30 years, the average payment then will be about $200,000 a year.
Right.
So,
and hopefully with this increase in capacity with the new sewer plant, we're hoping that this will now allow us to expand sewer users in the Cobden area, which will hopefully decrease that percentage increase.
That's right.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted.
Just a couple of questions. My first go around, obviously, with a project like this, of this size, I'd like to see all the different scenarios that this gentleman would present. But one question is a lock-in period. So is it much similar to a bank where there's a 90-day lock-in period for any of these rates?
Once you lock in, when you lock in, when you start the debenture, you're locked in for the term.
For the full term of 30 years.
For 30 years. You can't pay off.
Right. So how long beforehand do you have to make a decision? So is it a year, is it 6 months where you actually get that rate?
They hold it for, I know for the solar one, they held it for a couple weeks. So Bob will certainly work with us.
So similar to a bank where they only give you a month or whatever to lock it in. Okay. And pertaining to that.
Chris, I'd like to suggest Bob, thank you, Chair. Bob did certainly was willing to come in and address council, answer any of the questions that you have regarding, the details of this. And I also had wanted to make the point that on the August 19th agenda, there will be a discussion of pulling the environmental assessment money. We put a $50,000 amount aside in reserves to be able to continue that work, because that's all part of the process leading up to the building of the plant. But Bob would be more than willing to come in and address council.
Yeah, I would suggest that he has a good presentation, and that if he could be made available at some point, and perhaps we can leave that up to Christina and Marcia to determine that time frame, because there's a lot of work between now and the actual construction. I don't know that it's the timing right now to have that presentation. I don't know if it's worthwhile to have it now or later on. I think it's later on.
I have another question about it.
Yep, Councillor Olmsted.
Tagging on to that question, and I know these are just very preliminary numbers we're looking at, but can I assume that the 2016 to 2019 projections with these increases factor in no growth or no development?
That's right.
Yeah, so it's
basic-
400 hookups now, 400 hookups in 2019, right?
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of homework to do in what
Absolutely.
potential growth increases or,
Yeah.
what the end result may look like.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We just wanted to provide council with the word is out that we did receive the grant, so you are probably going to get a lot of questions in regards to rates and sewer rates and just to kind of let them know that we are starting, looking into it, and we'll be going forward with it. And as soon as we know more, we'll provide the info to council.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Marcia? None? Thank you, Marcia. Number 2, Lanark Health Water Billing Report. Who's up for that one?
So upon a letter request to take a look at the water sewer rates for the Cobden Health Centre here, I did up a little report. I don't have anything additional to add other than their actual 2015 water sewer rate is $1,319.48 versus the $11.43 that I had in my report.
Any discussion with regards to this? Councillor Olmsted.
Yeah, and reading through this package, it really kind of stands out that the property was recategorized. So it wasn't actually an increase in rates, but the entire property was put into a different category from what it was. So would that be right around the time that the history of this building went from I don't know what they called it before versus what they call it now, but it's different uses from 2011 obviously to today, right?
Correct, and we haven't recategorized any of the rates or the units, how they're, like high commercial it's basically just a general category for any medical dental facility. So you'd see the dentist office on, I guess, 49 Pembroke Street would be considered a high commercial unit as well.
So if I looked at the dentist office, would it have gone from $199 to $1,100 a quarter as well?
Not that quite of a jump. They're considered, the dentist office is 1 unit, whereas the Cobden Health Centre is 2 units, and that's due to the square footage of the property, or of the building, rather.
Okay. And on a personal note, just reading through it, and knowing a bit of what it's being used for now, it just, I think they're being, they're not in the right category. And I get the definition, it fits what is in our categories and definitions bylaw, but knowing that they have 1 washroom, no showers, and nothing else in the unit, it seems to me that's quite a rate to be charging, like $4,000 a year, and there's literally 1 bathroom in the place. So I think we should take a hard look at it.
I guess my question would be is who did the rate categories and definitions? Was there a study done or at the time that classified the high commercial units, all the different classifications at that time?
At the time, there was Watson and Associates were doing a study, as well as working with the CAO and the treasurer at the time to define these rates.
Okay. Mayor Johnson.
I agree with Chris in that...
Not on.
Still not on.
I agree with Chris. There is very little water usage in that. They're not doing medical procedures, they're just doing analysis. And they're being charged the same as a car wash or a cement company or dentist office that uses water all the time. So really what we're doing is we're taking away a lot of their ability to provide medical care by having this in this category. And I believe it should be, I don't believe they'd use hardly any more than a house.
Well, and I'm looking at the definitions on a small commercial unit, which is defined as small retail spaces, a laundromat, and a car wash, which uses
Hundreds.
drastic amount of water to have them, and I don't know, and I could be wrong, but is the small commercial unit not charged a lot less than the high commercial unit?
Yes, you are correct.
So that makes no sense to me at all. I'm wondering if we shouldn't be reviewing the definitions and having a look at this at straight across the board, because that certainly doesn't make any sense at all, in my mind.
No, it doesn't.
Christine?
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess back at the time, there was, long before I was here, there was reasoning for how this was defined. I'd like to suggest that we move this on to a September 2nd agenda item in committee to review this, and I think there's a lot of things here that don't make much sense.
Mayor Johnson and then Councillor McLaughlin.
This should be resolved before their next bill, so that we're not paying them back, or, right?
Well, I understand your concern, but I don't know that that's going to be resolved before then. Time frame, but I could be wrong. Councillor McLaughlin.
When I look at this, I mean, that building has been vacant for how long? How many years was it vacant for? It must be at least 3-4 years. I'll ask the CAO, do we not have a rate for vacant buildings?
We do now. However, when it was vacant, we never received any requests to have the water shut off or anything like that at the time. So we don't act upon anything until we get something in writing as a request.
No, and but I'm just was thinking in my mind, it was, I realize, I guess, had they put in a request, we would have had to look at it as well. So that, it's just something else that when you're looking at this rate, that, to be fair, but I don't know if we reduce this, we've got to increase somewhere else, because we have to balance it, so. But, like you say, leave it to another meeting.
Any other questions before we get into it in September? Reeve Miller?
I agree totally with all that I heard here. I'm kind of leaning towards that we possibly should be re-looking at what kind of money we took from them the last 4 or 5 years in view of that. If we want to draw this type of service to our community, we can't really expect them to be paying this kind of money and expand their services. It just gives them no hope. So I would like to look back as far as what we could or possibly do on the money that has been paid. Okay?
I know, with regards to write-offs, because with regards to that, it is up to the individual owners to request that vacancy at the time that it is vacant. I'm sure, as Hope can attest, is that the request did not come in, and therefore it is up to the homeowner, the commercial unit owner. We don't know, yes, it was vacant, we don't know what sources were used while it was physically vacant, whether or not the water was still being used at that time, and that's why the water was not shut off at that time. I have no idea, and maybe that's why they never requested for a vacant, but again, it is up to the owner. Reeve Miller.
Okay, I agree totally. I'm just saying the rates were too high for those 5 years, even if they didn't request the water, that still we're seeing these huge increases all the way through. So if you're going to make it right at the end, whether they canceled their water or not, we kind of want to make it right to them along the way, do we not?
Mayor Johnson.
Because we knew they were vacant, we did have some onus to give them the option, I believe. Somebody should have said something, that's what I'm saying.
Councillor Olmsted.
Yeah, in speaking with the Executive Director, John Jordan, this afternoon, they're not asking for any rebates. They're not asking for any special treatment. They're asking us just to review the rates going forward and to be categorized properly. And so they want the township to know that they're not asking for any rebates or special treatment. They just want it looked at and categorized properly.
Thank you. I would agree with Councillor Olmsted that we move move forward. And I guess the definition of vacancy and timelines with regards to those requests for vacancies should also be outlined in any sort of definitions that we ensure that we don't come up against, going back 4 years because it was vacant even though they didn't notify us at the time. So I think that's important as well to take a look at that. Okay, any further discussion on this item? So we'll bring this back up at the September 3rd. Second, yes, thank you. Because the third is the AC/DC concert. We'll bring it back up on the 2nd of September to discuss further. Okay. And number 3 on the agenda is the Entrepreneurship Development Coordinator, Andrew Kenny, the info station demo.
Okay, just in brief, I'll just go over my 3 main goals in my position. In priority is number 1, to help the businesses that are already here. I think that's very important, to be loyal to the people that, the businesses that have been running and doing well and paying taxes all the way along. Number 2 would be assisting any residents that wish to start a new business or any businesses that wish to expand. And third, and that's in priority, is to attract businesses to move to Whitewater Region. The info station, it's the tool that I'll be using to accomplish all 3 of these goals, so it's extremely important. It's the foundation of every initiative that I'll use. The obvious benefits and the easiest way I describe it is it makes it easier for people to find the products and services that are found within Whitewater Region, and the obvious result of that would be increased sales to many of the Whitewater Region businesses to keep them healthy and thriving, and to keep businesses from moving to larger centers. The obvious benefits, though, are only the tip of the iceberg. There are countless benefits that are built into info station, and they're all designed to achieve the 3 goals. So now I'll demonstrate it. So essentially, every business or any individual or any organization can have a listing on InfoStation. And the way it works is you just need a simple email address, and that's all you need. And any of the businesses I've contacted, I think I've contacted probably close to 500. And I think I've come up with 3 that don't have email addresses, and they're borrowing mine. So anybody can use it. There's a real push in economic development to have every business have some kind of an online presence. So the second part of your listing for any business, any organization, is to essentially create a small website that just tells who they are, where they're located. They can customize this to whatever type of business that they are. And it allows them to create a website literally within about 2 to 3 minutes. So the information on the public profile is anything that you would see in a small business. And any larger business that would like to direct businesses directly to their website, it's one of the first things that you can do is they would just, I'll bring up just an example of the public profile in just a bit once I show you this, but you would click on their link and it would go directly to their website. And the whole idea is to bring business to businesses. So if someone is looking for a certain product, they would simply do a search and it would show every business that's in Whitewater Region that actually has that product. And the second part here, it allows businesses to customize their listing. One of the things they can do is they can attract businesses to them to show them that they have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi availability, and they can either tell someone that they have open Wi-Fi, which they don't need a password, or they can have a password access. And I guess it's self-explanatory whether they have restrooms or not. There's actually one of the gaps that we have in some of our municipalities or some of our villages is there's not enough public bathrooms. So this really limits the amount of traffic you can have coming in and doing shopping. If you come into a village and there's not enough restaurants, you obviously you're going to find difficulty, and they may not come back to the village because they can't find a bathroom. So that's one of the limitations we found in some villages. Wi-Fi Depot is a program where I have somewhere between 60 to 100 businesses which are willing to actually have their computers open to customers, not to actually use themselves, but if they ask that business, if they go into Huckabone's garage, and he's constantly asked by someone that's shopping for a lawnmower or something similar to this, and they'll ask, do you know where I can find this product locally? And quite often he's not able to help them right away, and generally they're driving down the road, and that's when he realizes, oh, they can get that from, you know, John's Supply or something, and they think of it after. So this allows them that they can search for something and send that customer that's already in our region back to a customer that's back to a business that's in our region. So the whole idea is to keep the customers at the businesses that are in Whitewater region. And the way it works is that if someone types in a product, or service, the businesses that supply these services will pop up. So then they just click on the name of the one that they're interested in seeing more about. So right now we've got about 300 businesses on, and I believe there's probably another 500 that should be on. So my main quest is to get the rest of the businesses on and have them complete their listing so that they have all the products and services listed. It's directly linked to our website, as well as there's a link right back to the municipal website right here. And to create a listing, it's very simple. They just click right here.
Andrew, is it available now?
It's totally available now. There's 295 listings completed already.
Awesome.
And right now we have a summer student that's helping me out getting some more.
So we'd really like to encourage staff and all members of council and everyone in the community. Andrew's willing to help. We have a summer student helping out. If you're finding difficulty spending, 15 minutes getting your business on here, it's free, and we're here to help you.
Mayor Johnson.
When we were in Beachburg at the home show, I helped demonstrate this, and when I walked in, I was pretty, oh my, this is going to be tough. But it actually is not, and I helped some people through it without very little knowledge. The only thing that we found was you have to keep trying when you're looking for something. If you don't get what you want, or you have to put in different names. It depends right now when you're loading it, what the people put down. And so there were some examples of that, but my point is actually that it was very easy to use.
Reeve Miller.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Andrew. I think this is a great idea, and I think we all understand the importance of buying local and spending our money local. And I'd just like to make a suggestion that maybe council could instruct our staff to use this system when procuring goods. It would help us a lot, because I've taken more complaints on the local issue even today. And this is a great tool to help our staff, and that's what I'd like to see done. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bill's already using it. Bill's already using this, and he's, I believe he's hired at least one person that's been on this.
Do you have anything further, Andrew, or?
That's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Woohoo. Okay, number 4 on the agenda is the CRINS, Public Consultation for Radio Communication Facilities. Christine, are you speaking to this?
Yes, thank you. So we were contacted. All the information's there. The specific pertinent part is highlighted. Basically, this is, it used to be called the CRTC. It's a branch of the federal government now entitled the Canadian Radio Communications Information and Notification Service, which is part of the Canadian Radio and Television Commission, I believe. They have set up this new service at no cost to municipalities. The City of Pembroke and the Township of Laurentian Valley have already joined. And they do, instead of, you'll all recall when Eric Belchamber from Rogers was in here twice with the presentation. So this group, it's my understanding, they do the preliminary processing. They manage the public consultation process, which is all federally regulated. And they provide a report to us with their recommendations about moving forward, so that we're not dealing individually with Bell or with Rogers or with whatever service provider wants to come in and talk individually to council, and then they organize the public consultation, etc. This is meant to simplify the project and take some of the onus off the municipalities. So I don't see a downside to this. The applicants, such as Rogers or Bell, pay a fee to pay for this service. So it's at that end, the fee is at that end, not at our end. So my recommendation is that we join.
Any discussion? Councillor Mackay.
Can we any way influence to put a tower somewhere? Beachburg, if you try and use your cell phone in Beachburg, some locations it doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything. These folks are a regulatory body. That would have to do with, I guess, the township, probably through Andrew, through our entrepreneurship department, reaching out to service providers saying, hey, what about us? And that's certainly something we could look at.
Okay.
I know that Rogers, Andrew has, through these conversations, talked to Rogers about the black holes in Beachburg. But that certainly is something, Councillor, that we could become much more proactive at.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yeah, whenever a federal regulator puts forth that they're going to consult and review, and it's at no cost to anybody and all that kind of stuff, I get real leery all the time about. And I get that they're supposed to be a non-profit and that kind of thing, but I see different wording when you read through there about they'll advise on environmental issues and that kind of stuff. So I think we should be very thorough in our understanding of what, if we jump into this, what powers are we maybe giving away. You know, we all know about the the issues we're having with, some agenda in our region and rural regions and that kind of stuff now. So I'd like to really take a good deep read on what they're proposing to offer us when we sign on the dotted line.
Christine, do you have any comments with regards to that?
I can certainly ask for a copy of an agreement, Councillor, and get a little more in-depth here. It was explained to me that they simply they review the situation and offer a report. It is the way it was presented to me. We hope that you will seek their opinion, and we look forward to having your municipality participate. So I agree. Let's maybe just table that motion if you wish tonight, and let me look into, you know, what exactly are they asking us to sign on to.
Mr. Olmsted?
And it probably is the more cynical side of me, you know, reading through this and saying, you know, from a business perspective, you know, maybe there's nothing here, but all of a sudden, I think I read that they have 200 municipalities now, or anyway. Right. So somebody that all of a sudden has 500 municipalities has a lot of strength with these companies, right? So I just like to be very careful about jumping in.
Mayor Johnson?
We would need to know if they're going to be the ones that make the decision and then come to us with trying to convince us. That type of thing makes me leery. What the federal does in anything to do with radio communications is they do everything backwards, which leaves the people out on a limb.
Okay, so we'll not put this motion forward. We'll bring this item back on the September 3rd agenda. I've got the 3rd in my brain. Thank you, September 2nd. I am going somewhere that day. Okay, that's it for Corporate Services Committee. Next up is Public Works Committee, Chair Dave Mackay. Stuck in my brain, it just won't come out.
Okay, so what are we doing here? Okay, so I bring this to it. All right? Okay, so I just say, just read this, start going? Okay. Just say, be it resolved? Okay. Okay. Be it resolved that the Public Works Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends that council accept the following roads into the system of agreement that the contractors involved in the work with the Public Works Manager to repair any deficiencies arise from the next year in the township's satisfaction at their cost. Bill?
What roads?
We're gonna make the list.
Yeah, we're working on a list, and we will bring that back to council to do it. So that's, we could either do it that way, where we can go ahead and assume the roads, and if there's any deficiencies, at that point, we can make a deal with the worker, or it would have to be, right now, we've been working with our engineering firm to try and come up with a solution to get these roads into the shape that Public Works feels it's good enough to be accepted.
Hal?
These roads have been ongoing for quite some time. I know when I was working for the township, I wrote a letter to accept Cardell Street. and there's just a small section beyond that. The same thing with the Verican subdivision on their road is already paved. I would like to make a motion that we accept these roads into our system on condition that they're paved, which the Verican subdivision is, and that they are warranted for 13 months.
Okay, can you point me to the direction of the letters that you wrote? Because I can't find them.
Not my responsibility. I wrote it and gave it.
Okay, we'll try and find them.
I want to make a motion to supersede everything, and we're just going to accept the roads. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
This has gone on way too long. This is holding people up, and these roads, they're acceptable. We just need to give the same as everybody else. They have to have a warranty rate on them and paved. That's why I'd like to make that motion. Looking for a seconder.
I guess, Bill, you had indicated that you were working with the engineer for the township. What have they said with regards to deficiencies or warranties that they feel is necessary at this time?
They haven't got back to me yet about it.
Okay. Do you have a list of roads? That's my concern. I don't want to just pass a motion and not have a list of roads. I'm aware of the 2 roads that Mayor Johnson is speaking of. Is there more than that?
I believe there is a portion of Cardell.
Which is what
Yep.
Mayor Johnson spoke of?
Jameson, there's a portion that was never brought into the road system. Lakeview, no, not Lakeview, Mapleview.
Mapleview is the one that was just paved.
I don't have a list in front of me, no, I'm sorry.
I don't know that I'm prepared to move forward until we get the list of roads and which ones need to be, I mean, it can be brought up at the September, my understanding is that this information isn't going to go to the regular council meeting after this committee meeting, is it?
Yes.
It's going right to this committee meeting, right to the council.
Councillor McLaughlin, sorry.
I have to agree with Councillor Jackson. I think we need a list to have a look at, Bill, to bring us back a list so we can see what they are and make sure that they are to our standards before we do accept them. I have no problems in accepting them, but I think a list should be brought forward. I don't see the big hurry in this at all. It's not getting to fall, so that's my personal thoughts tonight. I wouldn't be willing to accept them, but as soon as we see the roads and get further information, then I would be quite acceptable in taking them forward.
First Mayor Johnson, then Miller.
We've been driving on these roads, and they've been using the water on these roads for, in the case of Jameson Road, 10 years.
That section, I believe, probably longer.
Yeah.
It got missed.
So, I mean, we've already accepted it by the fact. We can have the names of them immediately. It just is, this has gone on far enough, long enough through different time zones and so forth. Let's do it, get it over with, let the people build and go.
Reeve Miller.
Yeah, I agree 100% with the mayor, but maybe not on all roads. Is there a rule that says we have to okay this for every road? In particular, Cardell is the one that I'm interested in. Obviously, none of you have had to deal with Delmer Lavallee every few months for the last several years. This is ridiculous that this man has to go through this because he wants to help the township and build a couple houses. Let's just put his road through and do what we should have done for him a long time ago. That's what I would like to see. We went out and looked at it, Al and I. It's no big deal. Do we have to name all the roads to help Delmer Lavallee tonight? That's my question.
Councillor Jackson.
I guess my question is, can it not wait until September 3rd whenever we get a proper report from the Public Works Manager that outlines a list of roads that need to be adopted? I mean, to have this information without a list of roads, it's not a proper motion. It's not, I agree, I absolutely agree that that road has been on the list for a number of years. but to go ahead and do one road when we probably have to do a list of them to get them done. Is there a reason why that has to be done tonight is my question. Why does it have to be done tonight?
Councillor Olmsted first, then.
Just based on, I think the history of this goes, it sounds like it's all pertaining around Berrigan and Cardell roads. Then I heard Jameson and Lakeview, these guys come up. But I'd be prepared if the Public Works manager is okay with taking those two roads in now. I'm completely comfortable in recognizing his talent to say, well, let's just do it.
Bill?
I'm comfortable with Cardell because the former Public Works supervisor wrote letters and inspected the roads.
Where is he now? That's what I want to know.
So,
We can just add the names.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Bill, is it Cardell Street that we had discussion with back with the old council where the inspections weren't done isn't that, am I wrong on that road or?
partially, the new part was the part in question. I was under the assumption that the part that was paved already had been assumed by the township. Until a month ago, I didn't realize that that portion of the road was not assumed.
So, whatever happened there, I thought there was supposed to be some studies done and I don't think they were ever, I remember something about it.
The new section, there's a whole history behind that I won't delve into tonight, but we have to work with Mr. Lovely to get the paperwork caught up properly in order to get the next step going, yes.
So that's not what we're accepting tonight then?
No, the original portion of Cardell Street.
Which goes back a lot further than that, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when that part of the road was built.
Okay, no, as long as the work has been inspected and moved forward. I'm like Councillor Jackson. I understand what you want, but I don't know why the big rush.
Councillor Olmsted?
And having said that, I would support making the decision quickly and getting over with. It seemed to be a push on it. I also would add that if we're trying to push this through, I wouldn't hold the Public Works supervisor liable for any deficiencies that may be involved here, because it sounds like a lot of this stuff was done years ago.
Councillor Jackson?
Do we have a legal description for the parts of the roads that we are adopting?
Oh, sorry.
I don't have them with me right now, but we can find them within the subdivision files, yes. Which would, if we had a little bit more time, we could actually get that together and perhaps pass the bylaw at the next council meeting.
Mayor Johnson?
Just in answer to Councillor Olmsted's question, the Public Works supervisor wouldn't be held responsible because there would be a warranty held by the subdivision owner for 13 months. That should cover any deficiencies. With also they have to be paved, so they'd be accepted under the condition that they're paved. That would be written in, right? So.
Reeve Miller?
Just in response to Councillor McLaughlin's what's the rush, I think we're spending a lot of time with a lot of issues looking for every reason we can't move forward. We're bogged in here till 10 o'clock every night. Why can't we look for reasons we can move forward and get some of this behind us and do what they want us to do? Is that difficult? Especially when we're within our power to do it in these chambers?
Okay. Councillor Jackson?
I think it's important to get the proper information to be able to adopt the road. We also have to have an agreement with the developer that they're going to warranty it for 13 months. It's not just a matter, in my opinion, that we just ram something through just because we deem it a fast track tonight. We need the legal description to state exactly what they're warrantying so they understand. If this was brought on the agenda, then that should be ready. I'm not faulting council for that, that should be ready, that should be here. We should have the list of those roads. So if we instruct staff to have all of that ready and to have the agreement in place that they're going to agree that the warranty is issued, they've signed off, the developer has signed off, and then we can pass it on September 3rd. September 2nd.
Or in August.
Or in August, I agree, absolutely. But we need all of those issues in place before that can be done.
Councillor McLaughlin, did you want to say something? Did you have your hand up?
I feel Councillor Jackson has said every thought that I have, so I have nothing more to add to her thoughts.
So from hearing that, I can work with Bill, we can have everything ready for the August 19th council meeting, get it done, passed, and be over with.
I think if we do all them roads, the Jamieson Road, all them roads we got paved and we're taking care of, get them all done by August, that sounds good to me too. What do you think?
And just make sure that you have the signature of the developers that they're going to warranty it for 13 months, or however many months that the mayor is recommending, that is in place prior to the meeting, with the legal description that they understand what they are warrantying.
Okay. Mayor Johnson.
That should be sent to them and signed before we, for August. Okay? Understood? 10-4.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. Be it resolved, the Public Works Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends council agree to assign repainting of NRTC poles in Beachburg to the PW summer students as part of the Beachburg beautification it's already beautiful, project and work for World Kayak Championship. Kathy. Oh, sorry, Councillor Regier.
Yeah, I was approached about a month ago from a resident in Beachburg, and she had brought this up to me, and just for this very reason. If you take a look at those poles, they were probably painted about, my guess, probably 10 or 12 years ago, maybe even more, and they are really in rough shape, and for a little bit of white paint on those poles to just kind of bring it up to, perk it up a little bit for the championship, I think it would be a great idea. I think it's a great job for a summer student, and I was really glad she brought it forward. I did check, and Hope was working with me on this as well. We just have to be very careful and cautious that we do not touch a hydro pole. We can only do the North Renfrew poles. We cannot touch a hydro pole.
I think they were painted 8 years ago at the 150th Beachburg anniversary.
Was it 8 years?
Yeah.
Well, they're in really rough shape.
Yeah.
I drove down, and there's quite a few of them. It's a fairly... Thanks.
Mayor Johnson?
I believe that Ottawa River Power, has given them permission to paint their poles. That was what I think I read in the minutes. I'll double check that.
Wait, hold on.
But there's a possibility of getting some involvement of volunteers along with our,
I checked with
there
Ottawa
people.
River Power Corp in regards to painting, and they said absolutely no paint required on the poles. It's actually a safety issue.
okay, I thought I read it the other way around. Okay, the other question is, are any other poles at this present moment painted? So that's, they don't have any on Main Street then?
Sorry, what was the question?
Do they have, do the power poles, or there aren't any on Main Street then?
Yeah, yes,
Sure
there
there
is.
is.
Yeah. NRTC's on one side and Ottawa River Power Corp's on the other. The bank side, I believe, would be Ottawa River Power Corp. Some of the old ones were painted white, but the newer ones that they've been replacing, I guess because they're pressure treated, they don't want the paint on them.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, because if they're pressure treated, the paint won't stay white anyway, it'll just bleed through. Right, but I still think we might be able to talk some volunteers into helping the students. If we get a hold of Art Jameson.
He's the one that painted last time. Art got people to paint them last time.
Well, let's see if he can help get people to paint them this time.
All right. Good one. Okay. Be resolved, the Public Works of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends council agree to assign repainting of NRCT poles, PW summer students part of the Beachburg beautification project for the World Kayak Championship. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. I knew that. Okay, what's next? Oh. Be it resolved, the Public Works